Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a lunch break. We are continuing on with our meeting for March 27th, and we stopped just before we dealt with notice of intention to designate 37 and 39 Center Street. This was pulled automatically because we had a delegation. So I will go first to Councillor Silovitz, who's the chair of Heritage Richmond Hill. So Councillor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with reference to 15.3.3.4, notice of intention to designate 3739 Center Street West. First of all, I will move these recommendations that are staff recommendations, A to E. But I do want to say to Ms. Bick, if she's still online, and I hope she is, I want to thank her for speaking to us at Heritage Richmond Hill, for speaking to us at Committee of the Whole, and for speaking to us here today as well. I honestly believe that the manner in which her and her family have taken care of 37 and 39 is remarkable, and the length of time they've been there and the history that comes with that. So I wanted to thank her. I wanted to thank her for all of that because it does not go unnoticed. But I absolutely do believe with what we approved to be sent to council at Heritage Richmond Hill, that the intention to designate 37 and 39 Center Street West is approved. And if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would like to just ask Kunal Chaudhry from our Heritage Richmond Hill staff, if he could just come forward. And Mr. Chaudhry, can you tell us again, please, for the public record, what are the options that Ms. Bick still has in her toolbox to say that she does to object to this? Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Through the chair. So at this point, should council pass the motion today, the property owner then has the ability to formally object. They will serve a notice of objection to the clerks. They have a period of 30 days to do that. And that happens once we issue a notice of intent to designate. During that process, of course, as always, the property owners are always welcome to reach out to city staff should they have any questions about the process, the designation process or heritage planning process at all. After the objection period, we will once again bring it back to council for their decision. If they choose to pursue designation, we will then come back with a bylaw. Once the bylaw is passed, the property owner once again has the ability to appeal council's decision to the OLT within a 30-day period.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I hope that's helpful to Ms. Bick, because there are still options available to you, Ms. Bick, that are legitimate, and through the process and procedure of everything that we are going through, that you still have the opportunity to object. So with that, I will move 15.3.3.4. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I need a seconder. Councillor Davidson, did you want to speak to that?
Thank you. Yes, please. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm also on the Heritage Committee, and I do appreciate Ms. Bick's advocacy for her own property. It's necessary. I support this motion because I want to keep the history of this town. And I hope, Ms. Bick, it's not so much as a handcuffs or a restraint. I hope the city can help her fix whatever needs fixing with great guidance, and even there's some grant money hopefully in there somewhere. But it's more to ensure the excellent stewardship she's shown for those properties up until now. And we want to continue the tradition, whoever owns those properties. So I do support this, and that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor DePaulo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's rare that I'll make a decision one way in committee of the whole, and then come back a week later and be persuaded otherwise. I truly want to support Heritage Richmond Hill's decision here. I don't think anyone's disputing that this home has heritage value, that this is a home that we want to protect and see that it's there and in perpetuity and well cared for. And I think the formal objection that Ms. Bick would be entitled to would merely look at the merits of whether or not this home has heritage value, and it would be very difficult for her to make a case. And the recommendation from our staff would likely be upheld that the home has heritage value. I think this is where council makes a decision based on the uniqueness of the situation and the appeal that was made today. And I have to keep my word when I voted against another home that came up for designation. And I said, if anyone else met the same criteria where they had a long history and roots in a home and also cared for and showed and demonstrated that through another ownership of another property that they had every desire and intention to preserve heritage in Richmond Hill, I don't think that's a dangerous precedent. I think it's very few times where that's going to happen, and then that a passionate plea would be made to council to, in spite of the heritage value, not to designate while the family still resides in the home. And I think it might be possible for us to monitor sales activity of the 50 or so homes that we deem most valuable, and there would only be a handful of those that are in ownership of the current owners, and should it ever change, and then pursue designation at that time. So really conflicted here, because there's no question about the heritage value, but I was persuaded by the delegation, and I need to remain consistent with my vote on the other property that was that I voted against intention to designate, and I'm going to vote against this, and it's a tough one, Mr. Mayor. But I don't know how many. I think it's very few people in Richmond Hill that can date their family back to 1912, and especially still in the same home. So I think it's not harmful to make this an exception. So that's how I'll be voting. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tree.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, our Mayor West. I want to echo here as well. Thank you for the staff working hard to evaluate this property. Also, thank you for our councillor Sleepys regarding to this topic as well. So as I mentioned, there do have a process. If the decision passed by city and the residents have different opinions, still have a process to follow and to get what you need. From my personal perspective, this is the land, as I mentioned previously in the last meeting, I still hold my position to support our residents too. So for this motion on the floor, I will not accept it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, through the mayor. I definitely appreciate all the work that our Heritage Committee and our staff are doing. Certainly, everybody knows that I'm actually in a 100-year-old home myself in the same area. It's a very difficult situation that we found ourselves in here, and it's through no fault of our own. We all know that Bill 23 put us in a very awkward situation where we had to deal with this situation. And I feel that it's our duty to try and minimize the impact to our residents as much as possible. I agree with Councillor DePaula in that this particular individual homeowner has demonstrated that they are good stewards, that we shouldn't really have the type of thought of risk that perhaps is being portrayed here. And again, I hate the idea of passing on a problem that was brought to us onto the residents. So for those reasons, I will not be able to support the staff's motion, but I definitely appreciate all the work that everybody has done. Thank you.
Okay, I think that exhausts our speakers list. We have a motion in front of us.
Do you record the vote, please?
Okay, Counselor, or sorry, Mr. Clerk, that's your name. Mr. Clerk. Came from a long line of clerks. Mother's name was Clerk. Father's- Yes.
Before we take on the vote, because if I hear my colleagues who spoke just not too long ago, perhaps it's not necessary voting against every proposed designation, every property to be designated, only a couple of them.
We're not. We're dealing with the 15.3.3.4.
Specifically, okay, fair enough. Thank you. I just want to be absolutely clear. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Voting on the motion of Councillor Silovitz, seconded by Councillor Davidson to adopt the staff recommendations, the committee whole recommendations. Councillor Silovitz.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Tree.
No.
Thank you. Region Local Councillor Chan. Thank you. Councillor Liu is absent. Councillor Davidson.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor West.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
No.
Thank you. Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
No.
Thank you. And Councillor Hsu.
Yes.
Thank you. So that motion fails to carry on a tie vote.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, just procedurally, just so that there's something in the records, could I just propose then we actually have a motion to receive for information only?
Sure. Councillor Silovitz. Seconded by Councillor Davidson. All those in favor for receipt? Okay, opposed? I believe that carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, the next item is the one I declared a conflict. So I'll pass the chair over to
Thank you. Thank you. I'm assuming the chair on this particular item would probably Councillor Silovitz, as a chair of the Heritage Advisory Committee, would you like to speak on it or bring forward a motion?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Chan. I just want to clarify through you with the clerk. Are we dealing with 0.6 or 0.7?
15.3.9, notice of intention to designate 124 Richmond Street.
Thank you. That's the one I
Yeah,
needed.
this was held simply because the mayor declared a pecuniary.
That's the one. So it's 0.9. Thank you. Okay, so thank you. No, I will move the staff recommendations. And again, with thanks to staff for the work that they have done, and with thanks also to our designation subcommittee at Heritage Richmond Hill, who've done an amazing job as we sort through this Bill 23 debacle. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davidson? Thank you. You want to say something on it? No? Okay, fair enough. Also, I have Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
I just wanted to second also. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we only need one seconder, but I believe Councillor Davidson, well, she's also on the Heritage Committee, so I would take that as a mover, as a Councillor Silovitz, and also seconder, Councillor Davidson. I hope it's okay with you, Regional Councillor DePaula. Fine. Okay, any other comments? No further comments. I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor? Well, it looks like it carried unanimously based on what we have in terms of attendance here. Maybe we can, Councillor Thompson, thank you for getting the mayor back to chair the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And the next item on the agenda is 15.3.6, which again was pulled because of a delegation. So I need a mover and seconder to get the conversation started. Would like to move that. Yeah, the feasibility meeting housing targets. So Councillor Silovitz, you want to move it? Okay, Regional Local Councillor DePaulo seconded. So Councillor Silovitz, do you have anything to talk about?
No, I have no comments. I definitely go with the recommendations A and B for this particular matter. Thank you.
Regional Local Councillor DePaulo.
Well, I just want to thank our staff once again for coming forward with this. The load from a member motion, and I appreciate the report and the detail. I do think there's a lot of work to be done, and I think this report will help us and guide us with our advocacy in the future and for our next steps in dealing with another one of the provincially imposed problems we have. Thank you.
Actually, you know what? In fairness, came from the motion that you put forward. Councillor Silovitz, would you mind switching the first and seconder on that one? My apologies. I should have come to you first. Okay. Any more discussion? We had a fulsome discussion at committee of the whole about this, but any more? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. All right. 15.3.9 was carried on consent, right? Okay. 15.3.10, Councillor Hsu, you pulled that, and it's the traffic operations study.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Firstly, I would like to support this, and I appreciate what the traffic team has done a lot to protect the safety of commuters and pedestrians. Just a quick question: if any neighbors living near the proposed locations are hesitant about being designated as dedicated calming measures locations, whatever the reason is, can they opt out and ask for removal from the lease, or just talk to the staff if there's any other measures on the implementation? Just a quick question about this, through the chair.
Through the chair to Councillor Hsu, if there are concerns about the areas that traffic calming is being implemented, the public is encouraged to reach out to staff at traffic.inquiries@richmondhill.ca. There is no opt-out option, as mentioned in the presentations and the staff report, that all of the key actions and recommendations are evidence-based and based on data in response to trying to make our community safer for all road users.
I know. I just have one more comment. Is it possible or feasible to send a notification to residents earlier? Just if there's any next time, just send them notice just right after the public education section, like that, to let them to have more time to digest this policy and something like that. Yeah. Just a recommendation, but not just for your reference.
Through the chair to Councillor Hsu, absolutely. I can advise that the communication efforts on this particular file have been extensive, leveraging multi-modes of communication, our website, advertisement on buses, curb X signs, and the like. We do endeavor to be sending notices out to all the impacted residents where traffic calming is intended to be implemented, and remind all mayor and council that we will be coming back in November with a report to report on our findings on the effectiveness of those 18 locations before we continue to include additional locations across the city.
Okay, that's all about my comments. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And seconder, Regional Local Councillor Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hsu, moving the motion. Actually, I'm very familiar with the neighborhood that I receive, I guess, a concern from a local resident in Ward 6. So I'm very familiar with the area. So I understand where the question is coming from. But I was about to say that, and thank you, Commissioner, just mentioned, having attended for the 6 ward-specific public education sessions, that I concur with what the Commissioner is saying. Lots of efforts from staff already advertised in different forms, social media, and I gather not only on the website, but other proactive way and to inform residents. And I do understand sometimes that certain I think people would get noticed when they get something actually maybe distributed at the door or in the mail. So I understand reaction, but I can say, attest in the sense that staff have done lots of work, advanced communication, advertising, promoting that public education session for each single ward. And I believe my collection is at 4 of the 6 I attended, and people who did come out do specific ask what criteria you use to select those 3 in each of the wards. So opportunity there. And I think this is long overdue in the time, in the sense that the city comes up now with a strategy how to address common issues that people concerned about. Cars are speeding, don't stop sign, that kind of thing. So I welcome this and I fully in support of it. And I think I raised it at the public session before. And I honestly hope, and I think it is under planning for strategic communications to further educate, if I might use a term, about this is now coming after today's approval at council. And perhaps also similar in way we promote the services of language line in Access Richmond Hill, in considering some other advertisement or promotion in non-English language. And in Richmond Hill, we have been doing it for the 3 most common spoken languages according to census, which is Chinese, Farsi, and Russian. Perhaps that may be also considered. Thank you. I support the motion.
Okay, any more comments? Okay, I'll just say quickly that this report and action list has been a long time coming. And I appreciate the work the staff's done. I just want to say though that Commissioner, you touched on something that is really important. That if I've learned nothing in the last number of years that I've been on council, I do have learned from your department that using the appropriate traffic calming measure in the appropriate circumstances is very important, and it's often can be a matter of safety or making the problem worse, not better. And I think that's why I'm really pleased with the process that we've gone through here. That we've got traffic engineers looking at best practices, looking at things that we can do, and having a data-driven approach. Because having the correct data and the correct information to make a decision or not make a decision on traffic calming is part of the importance of what is being done here. Because like putting a stop sign where one has no business being isn't going to slow down traffic. It's just going to make more rolling stops. And that can be very dangerous, for example, to pedestrians who are expecting the cars to stop. So this is a complicated issue, and it is a thorough investigation that's been done to come up with the plan that we've come up with. And I'm quite frankly looking forward to us having more tools in the toolbox to deal with the traffic issues that we hear about, on a fairly regular basis. So with that, we'll call the vote. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've got a total of 13 bylaws that we can put together as a package and assign it to the highest bidder. Oh, Councillor DiPaolo, that was really quick. Councillor Tree, all those in favor, opposed, that carries. And confirmatory bylaw 20.1, Regional Local Councillor Deputy Mayor Chan, seconded by Councillor Tree, all those in favor. And finally, a motion to adjourn. That carried. Yes, it did. It carried. I thought it as loudly as I could, but you didn't hear it. A motion to adjourn. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Tree, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you very much, Council. This is a long meeting, and I